Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Jack OATz. You either know or you don't. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. We're about to go off on some just Jack Clover stuff today, and the topic today is Zagred and how I would write Zagred's agenda and backstory into the story. Even now, we can add it in. So, you guys probably are familiar with the post that I had pinned on my profile on Twitter, where I talked about Zagred possibly being from outside of the tree, which I think does make sense. However, I think I was ultimately wrong as I'm, just researching stuff. I do believe he comes from the realm that Lucifero's from. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking, like, well, duh, you like mentioned Zagred by name and blah, blah. I mean, devils probably just know each other. I don't find that as solid evidence, and if you guys know me well enough, you probably know I need a little bit more substance to confirm or deny something than just like, oh yeah, this one instance that can be interpreted a couple different ways. Pretty much said the whole thing for us. So the thing behind this is that if you go on Google right now, look up Sataria. This is where Lucifuge Rofocale resides. This would be where Lucifero would reside. This means that the Satariel it's the realm in which he lives. And the way to describe this realm is it's this dark labyrinth filled with riddles. And that pretty much, it's like chaotic riddles, I believe they said. So, I mean, that pretty much describes what Zagred does. Riddles, word soul magic is pretty much what that is. And I it seems like that would be the case. Now, where I would write Zagred, though, is I still think he's very special. I don't think he was just some obscure devil that was just sitting in that realm with Lucifero and was just like, "Yep, I'm gonna torture souls with you and hope we get out of here someday." I don't want him to be like that. So if I had to write him, and you watch my previous videos where I explain the path of the serpent and the dragon, what I would say is that Zagred was more so looking to become was taking the path of the fool, if you will, but from a dark perspective. And instead, he tried to take shortcuts. And he says something very interesting as he's coming out of the shadow, not the shadow palace, but the pedestal in the shadow palace that summoned him. He says, my body's imperfect, but I'm here. Something along those lines. So this is implying that there's a fuller version of Zagred, and what we got wasn't actually who he was. So I think how I would write this is that Zagred's taking the path of the fool from the Thamael to Malkud. However, he decides instead of taking the path righteously, he would skip some very vital steps and instead comes out imperfectly, thus leading to his demise, putting him back into this reincarnation cycle, sending where we see him pretty much dissipating. I think the Dryad pretty much was proof enough that souls don't just dissipate and go nowhere. I believe there is a cycle, and that's something that even Revchi confirms in the very beginning of the series in Chapter 1, where he identifies Yuno's grimoires as someone else's and says his grimoire is only given to ones that are chosen. So there's a very clear and concise cycle of souls happening. Again, reinforced with the elf arc, where they're not just matched up with people that look like them, but they also have the same affinity as them. So there is a very clear and concise cycle, like I said, of souls. And to me, it seems like I said, Zagred may have skipped a couple steps. If he didn't, that's how I would write him into the story. Um, and and I think he was in the running to be the next demiurge, and he was almost there. He had the power of word soul. I mean, almost how much broken can you get? Imagine if Zagred came out in a much more full form, in his highest potential. He probably would have had the power of a god, because in the very beginning of almost any testament, it's God's words that pretty much body the universe, right? Let there be light. Let there be whatever else. This is Zagred was so close to that. So Zagred may have been in the running to be the next big thing in the universe, really, but more so the underworld. And he blew it because he was too impatient. And this goes back into the Rosicrucian ideal of the demiurge being a child god, where the child god may not be physically like a child. You can have the mentality of a child. Children are impatient and not willing to trust the process. They have to learn the hard way that they have to crawl before they walk, and they have to walk before they run, or else they're doomed to fall. So I think Zagred was the example that was made out of in this series to kind of trust the process and take it step by step, and not only get to know yourself, but the process itself, and the ones that you come across as you do so. I still think there is a very big role for Zagred in this series. If not, it will be a massive fumble on Tabata's part. I do think very soon we're going to get more information on Zagred. I made a post today talking about how I think that the Clover Kingdom has been in the struggle between good and evil for a very long time. Where we have a family like the Agrippas, who was the grandmother of Gordon, was so proud of the fact that her son, someone in the family, had made a contract with Magicula. That's not just some random feat. Like, we can't forget, that is a Clover family. So what did they do with that contract? Why did they make a contract with Magicula? That's a huge question. That's a giant red flag. And then on top of that, from what we see Zagred when he binds Lumiere, when he's still living, before the Elf Massacre. He comes in possessing an elder of the Clover Kingdom. Now, the thing is that as I posted on Twitter, that we all have been on this train of of thought where each devil has a specific laugh, a specific text box, which is very true. This elder that walks in does not have a devil text box. The laugh is also different. You see the laugh in the very next panel, and then you see the elder just kind of out of it once Zagred reveals himself. And then the text box changes. So to me, that means that he came into the room as human. And then when Zagred decided to reveal himself, that's when the possession really just showed what was going on. And I think that was intentional. Now, you might be thinking Zagred clearly manipulated him, because in the very next page, or maybe even on the same page, Zagred says, oh yeah, your dad, the king, believes that his daughter is being harmed by the elves in a location that is only known to you. Now, while that is trickery, the thing about that is, it is not just trickery, because we have to remember what the humans did to the elves. They didn't just massacre them. They stole their power, massacred them, and then used the power for themselves to pass on from generation to generation. That is overkill. That is not something that someone goes yeah, your daughter's about to die. okay, why'd you kill that guy's whole family and then steal all their money and take their car, and what was all that about? Like, it doesn't make any sense semantically. So this means that there's some foul play happening in the Clover Kingdom. To back up more of this possession being a more willing thing, is that we have, and this is something I didn't even see until I was rereading the Elf arc. In the Elf arc, Pachu's remembering what life was like as an elf, and it's showing just pretty much the apostles, just looking towards him through his point of view, and in the background you see Ron, and Ron is not facing Patri at all. He's not facing the rest of the elves. He's facing away, just like we have Yami facing away in the covers and whatnot, and in the openings of the anime. Yami is not faced towards them, which I believe is Tabata's way of saying that either something bad is associated with this person, whether that might be a death flag or betrayal, and in Ron's case it was betrayal. Not saying that Yami might betray these guys. I do have conspiracy theories on Yami, just check out the channel. But what I'm saying is that Ron, before he puts in the magic stone that Yuno has, he says, "Welcome home." And that's his text box. And then Zagred comes out and the text box changes. So Ron was not with the elves this whole time. He was a traitor. And he was the snake in the grass. And that's how Raya sniffed him out. Is that Raya himself, or not Raya, but Ron himself lied. And then Zagred revealed himself. And then the lies became deeper and darker. So, to go back into this, not only are the Agrippas making contracts with this infamous devil Magicula, but another noble family is literally summoning devils, and that's the Fausts. So you have two very high up families that are summoning devils in very high up positions. And we're expected to believe that the Clover Kingdom is all good? I don't think so. There's some foul play happening between who and to what end. Not quite sure yet. But it is very interesting that we were told that the three kings or pillars of hell are ruling over space, gravity, and time. The one we're missing in this direct triad is, of course, time, but the only time age we have is Julius. And Julius should have known about pretty much every event that we are just now learning about right now, especially with the triad. Especially when the triad attacked the Golden Dawn and the Black Bulls, there's no reason why those guys should have been able to find those layouts or those hideouts. But they did, and they did it without not hesitation, but without any resistance from any backup or anything. And it just so happens that when invading the Clover Kingdom, the captains were in a meeting except for Vengeance. So Vengeance was easy pickings with no backup. And then Yami was exiled anyway, so they were not even in the Clover Kingdom. Which kind of fits perfectly, because out of all the kingdoms, the Clover Kingdom made it out relatively unscathed, whereas the Diamond Kingdom was decimated by Xenon, or most of it at least. And then the Heart Kingdom was almost laid to waste completely by Vernicula. But again, the Clover Kingdom remained almost untouched. So I have to believe that some family or families are there working with these devils. Most likely for more power, of course. That is what humans do. They step on each other's necks to gain power. That is the theme that Tabata has been giving us this whole time, is that humans have not been strong on their own for the most part. They usually steal from nature, devils or otherwise, elves as well. Magic stones were created to amplify power. So humans alone are not strong, so they have been depicted that they will do anything to attain more power. And going the route of the devil seems to be the easiest and quickest payout, but also has a lot of risk, of course, as we're seeing now. But that's kind of getting off the Jack Clover stuff. I just feel like Zagred was a very, very particularly placed piece of this huge puzzle in this series. And he will come back, whether as just to explain the story better, or maybe even as himself. And we'll see what happens when and if that does. But I do want to end it there. Like I said, I would write Zagred as being the, just coming from being an almost demiurge to finding his way back to the world of the living to make his reign absolute, but failing due to his own impatience, thus being his own demise in the very end. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll probably have some more videos. I'm going to be very busy this summer. I have a lot that I want to get done and a lot that I need to get done. So I will apologize in advance for the lack of consistency that you'll see on the channel. But trust me, I don't really plan on leaving anytime soon. Just be patient with me. Of course, when big things happen, I will hop on here when I can. But just understand, I'm lucky to get like 5 solid hours of sleep a day. So just bear with me. But thank you guys that have. And before I forget, happy birthday, Shadow! Like one of the biggest supporters, just to the brand, I guess. Dude's been a day one, and very talented artist. If you're not following him on Twitter, do so. I did a happy birthday post, so just look at my profile, find him, follow him. He's got really amazing art, very supportive guy, very nice. Has always been just that. So you will never find that guy in the middle of some like Twitter beef or anything like that, and I appreciate guys like him. So wish him a happy birthday in the comment section below. That will also help me know that you guys watched this far. But yeah, happy birthday, Shadow. I appreciate you a lot, and I hope you get what you want, and I hope even more that you get what you need from this next year in life. So congratulations to making it, and looking forward to many more, bud. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. This has been OATz to go. You either know or you don't.